Good afternoon, everyone. I was having some issues with getting everything hooked up and ready to go. So my initial live failed, and so I've switched to this one now. So let's see if this works out any better for us. I'm going to quickly update the thumbnail so people know it's in the right spot. Sorry about all the confusion. Using new technology throws me for a loop. Thought I did everything right. I scheduled the call, or not the call, but the WebEx, or what do I call this? I scheduled the live stream, not at work, and so it didn't let me go live for some reason. It only let me record that live, which you guys can't watch a recording. You can only watch it when I push out content and go live. So hopefully you'll find this channel. Hey there, Minnie. Looks like a few folks are starting to switch over. Again, apologies on some of the confusion. There was an initial live stream that I had set up, but I'm using a new software tool that allows me to do some fancy things in here, which is really cool. Like, I can show you my name. I can pop that up on the screen. But with this software, I need to use it a little bit more to learn some of the nuances. Thought I had scheduled this video live, and I went in and it was so scheduled, 4 p.m. Could not actually press a go live button to stream, so I had to scratch that and start all over. But I'm glad to see everybody switching over and jumping in. So I see Minnie, you are already out there. So good morning, Minnie. Good afternoon. Here I am in Nassau, Bahamas today. So I actually got off the ship, walked around, trying to figure out what all we can do in Nassau for some of the group cruises. So I'll go ahead and just quickly talk about those. So if you have not already seen some of the announcements before we go into, actually let me back up. Let me not go to that just yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me hear from you all. So it looks like we got about 12 people listening in. Hey everybody. Let me know in the comments, what is your favorite cruise ship? This is, I like engaging with everybody to start with. Hey there, Kathleen. To see what is your favorite cruise ship. So let me know in the chat or the comment section, what is the one that you really just gravitate towards. So you all know for me, that is clearly the Freedom of the Seas. So when I think of where my favorite ship is, that is my home ship of Freedom of the Seas. I'm on Liberty right now, and it reminds me why I love freedom so much. So I'm very excited to get back there in a couple of months. All right, but going into some of the other items there, looks like we may have a little bit of a lag in what I'm saying versus when you're getting it. It was better on the last one, so I'll have to figure out what all I've done wrong to schedule this one. I've got the Explorer of the Seas from Minnie. Minnie, I'm actually heading over to the Explorer of the Seas later on this year in September. I'm going to take her over in the Mediterranean. A great ship. I love that class of ship as well. Always a lot of fun. Get out now. You are certainly somebody that is after my heart with Freedom of the Seas. Thomas coming in with the first Oasis class, the big boy. Allure of the Seas is your favorite. Mr. Moneybags, NCL Encore. Interestingly, Mr. Moneybags, I have not been to NCO yet. They used to have a really solid weekend offering on the Sky, but they don't do that as much these days. I would love for them to start back out, give me some more weekend cruise options, but they're not quite doing that just yet. And Kathleen's got Oasis coming up. And Thomas is asking, why Freedom versus Liberty? So Freedom has actually been amplified, meaning it's had a refurbishment sooner than Liberty has. If you saw my initial video when I came here the first time, I mean, just Liberty looks and feels dated. It's got a lot of things on it that just don't really fit or jive well. Freedom, on the other hand, has been refurbed. They've made a lot of enhancements to it. It's got better food, better service. It is just a better ship, and the ship's setup and layout, it feels nicer because of these modifications that they've made. They're identical builds of ship, identical classes. So if you know where you're on one, you'll know where you are on the other one. But it is much, much nicer of an experience on Freedom of the Seas. So if you get to choose between Liberty and Freedom, I would say go with Freedom unless you just really want to come on a weekend sailing out of Fort Lauderdale, Port Everglades. that was the original deciding factor for me, but it certainly has changed. All right, so as I was starting to talk about earlier, and let me get this comment off of here. There are some group cruise options for everybody. So while people are still gathering, just wanted to let you know that we do have space on the Virgin Voyages Scarlet Lady on May 26th. This is Memorial Day weekend. So it is a long weekend cruise. It's leaving on Friday. I'm going to Bimini. Monday is a holiday, so that means you don't have to work. Tuesday is actually a work day, but you're back first thing Wednesday morning. So I think that this is a fantastic cruise. If you want to go on this one, I would encourage you to fill out the JotForm sooner rather than later. Let us know that you're interested. It is right around the corner, and want to make sure that we do not run out of space for you. The second one, and this one's actually been extremely popular. Actually, let me turn... I clicked on the wrong button. Let's see, can I turn that off? Oh, new software. I'm always learning how to do things. The other more popular one is the Allure of the Seas. This is a classic weekend sailing, leaving on Friday, coming back first thing Monday morning at Port Canaveral. This is out of Orlando area. So this one has actually been really popular. We've got probably over 20 people already signed up for this group cruise. So if you are interested in getting some of that refundable group space where you can change your mind down the road if something comes up, I would encourage you to, again, fill out that JotForm that I'll put in the comment section and make sure that you are letting us know and getting booked in, because that group space is going to be going out pretty quick. I have a feeling that this is going to be even more popular since we've got a ways to go. All right, so let me hide this once again. Excellent. So, wanted to talk about the website that I have built. So I'm launching a merchandise store. One of my friends had a vision. One of my very, very good friends had a vision of, Brandon, you need a merchandise store. So much so that he went out and procured the logo that you've seen me use a few times. So that little caricature that looks very similar to me was actually a friend of his that put that together for me to use for merchandise. And so I put it off. He even made me a few products, and I was like, wow, that looks really, really good. And so I finally was like, okay, I'll create a merchandise store. I don't think I knew exactly what I was signing up for when I started a merchandise store. This was when my father was in the hospital back in January, and I just needed to honestly distract my mind. We had a lot of time just sitting around and waiting, and by being able to build this merchandise store really gave me, a mental checkout for a little bit where I could distract myself and do something that was semi-productive, semi-fun, but it gave me the ability just to occupy myself during this time. What I did not know I'm new to all this. The merchandise store, you can't just, create merchandise. So I figured out how to do print on demand. So you go in, you design it, you can order it, it's going to be shipped right to your house. You all do not want me to keep an inventory at my house and send it out to you when I'm on land. That would not work out really well for getting, what you order in a prompt fashion. So I'm going to allow these people to send that out. What I didn't know, though, is that the second thing that I needed was, I've now got these products I want to sell. I need somewhere to sell them. So a merchandise store is then a website. So I had to learn how to create a website to talk about the merchandise that's been created, and we're going to go through all that here in a little bit. From there, I realized there's a third thing that you need. So you've got the merchandise, you now got the store. I need a way to accept payments for this merchandise. So that's the third thing to it. And then, by the way, if I'm accepting payments, I've got to calculate taxes and remit taxes. So I've learned all about Nexus and all those good things. So I've got 4 different things that I had to learn and purchase a solution for in order to create this merchandise store. Did not know I was signing up for all this. I thought I just went into the print on demand store, set it up, and we were good to go. But it took a lot more than that. So with that, let me go ahead and switch over to what this website looks like. Now, I am not a creative or design kind of person in my mind. So let's just go ahead and level set on what this is going to be looking like. I have done my absolute best, but I'm certainly open to opinions on how to change this, how to make it better. It is my first run at a website, so I am super excited to have it here, but I recognize it could always be probably a little bit better. So let me share my screen, and here we go. It's going to be this one here. And apologies if you can hear the announcement going on in the hallway. We're getting ready for all aboard here, it seems. So welcome to the Weekend Cruiser website. This is the front part of it, and you saw that in the thumbnail for this event. It is really streamlined. I try to make everything as easy as possible here. So it is a merchandise store at heart. So when I think of all the different things that I have going on, it was really set up to cater to the merchandise side of the house. I could build this out and do some more things down the road when time permits, but for right now, it is a merchandise store. You can also start out by coming to theweekendcruiser.com. So that is the website. I actually secured that, funny enough, probably 3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago. So I set on this dream of having a blog and a website for a few years before I executed it. But luckily I did reserve theweekendcruiser.com, so you all can easily find me. If you click on Watch Now, that's going to take you over to the YouTube page. So if you click on that, and it looks like it did share for me, you're going to see everything on the page, including the live that we're all in currently. So really neat feature there. At the top, what you're going to see is the shop, affiliate links, pictures, there's an about section, and over here on the right, I listed out all the different social media brands that I have. So when you think of, the Weekend Cruiser, I am on YouTube a lot. That is my favorite platform. But I don't know that you knew that I do TikTok, I do Instagram, I have a Facebook page. There's a lot of other sides to the Weekend Cruiser that you might not be partaking in. If you want to join these, then I know, like TikTok, for instance, it's not for everyone. If you get pulled into watching 30-second videos and you can't break away till 2 in the morning, I don't recommend TikTok, amongst maybe some other privacy concerns. But I do have a presence on there if you do have it and you accept all that. And so you can just click on these and it's going to take you to that individual account. Very similar to when you click on the Watch Now, it takes you over to the YouTube account. So if I click on the shop link, let's start here. This is going to give you all the items that I've worked on creating. So again, the logo was really set up by a friend of mine, but a lot of these things here are, really cool. I've ordered a lot of them actually just to see, touch, and feel them. I did not bring them with me on this cruise. I left them at home because they take up a little bit of space. But I'll say one of my favorite things here is the magnet. So if you're cruising, a lot of people love to put things outside on their door. I have this exact magnet on my fridge. They come in a lot of different sizes. But it actually turned out really, really well, the way that you have the circle and then the Weekend Cruiser logo down below it. You've got the official Weekend Cruiser t-shirt. You've got a hoodie. And this little teddy bear is just adorable. So I definitely have him. He's very plush, very soft. I am a big fan of the teddy bear as well. But it's got a little something for everybody on here. We've got some bathing suits as well. So I did the basic design here that you can see, and I'm pointing to it, like you can see my finger pointing at the screen, with the logo in the bottom right. Or if you want to go with what I call the more obnoxious version, you can always go with the bathing suit that has my face all over it. And I actually do have the blue pair of these, and they're actually really nice looking. I thought that they would look obnoxious, and they still kind of do. But it's actually really fun, I think, to wear. I tried to also show that all these different shirts, everything that you see in here is going to come in multiple colors. So if you're somebody who does not like white, you want to wear something else, all of the shirts are going to come in multiple colors. You're going to have tumblewear. So I know these are very, very popular on the cruise ship. Every time I come on a cruise, I feel like I see more tumblewear where people want to use their own container to keep their drinks cold longer, especially if hanging out by the pool. You've got some tote bags. You've got some towels. The towels are really big. And then you've got a gift card. So if you can't figure out what you want, you can always just get the gift card and figure it out later or give that as a gift. And then I've got what I'm calling fun weekend shirts. So on the front of the fun weekend shirts, and I'll do the quick view, you can see that it's got, once it loads, I am on a ship, so apologize for the slower internet. But once it loads, and hopefully it'll do that, it has the little logo on the front of it, and then on the back of it, it's going to have a saying of some kind. And so these are just isms that I've used, things that I like to say, or they are, just some kind of neat saying. So this is, one of the sayings where every weekend is a vacation, or where every weekend is a vacation. Let me go back into shop. And so I've got a ton of those that I just kind of came up with. Weekend cruiser, it goes quick. Living for the weekend. I've heard there were drink packages here. Only on land because I have to work. And then this one right here is a fun one to me. Small bladder, but I've got a really big heart. Something that I think rings true for a lot of us weekend cruisers, especially with that drink package. Again, all of these shirts come in different colors, different sizes. At the top, you'll also see, and by the way, that's totally up and live. If you all want anything, feel free to grab something. If there's something you don't see here and you want, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see if I can't create it. It's actually super easy to create things. Or if you say, Brandon, can't quite do it on that way, but if you change it a little bit, again, I am not a design expert, so I am certainly open to different options. So let me go into the comments so far and see what you all think about the website so far. Oh, nothing's being shared? Is it now being shared or no? It says that it's sharing. Am I still learning something here? The website is going to be theweekendcruiser.com. And if you all could confirm that you can actually see the website, it tells me it's sharing. Hopefully that is actually happening, but let me know in the comments if you can see my shared screen with the website. If not, feel free to follow along at theweekendcruiser.com. The next one is the affiliate links. This is one that, you all have seen it in the bottom of a lot of my comments where I kind of tell you what are the crucial things that I take with me on a sailing. And so you've got a lot of things you can purchase on the left-hand side. The newest addition to this is the Manta sleep mask, which I am a huge fan of. I had like a silk cheap one, if you will, from Amazon. I've now discovered this one, and it is a game changer for sleeping. These blinds back here on the ship do not close or do not block a lot of the light. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, I need my mask on. And I put it on for the next 30 minutes to an hour and I get some more sleep. The other side to it is, if you're looking to book excursions, I am a huge fan of Get Your Guide. I think that they are one of the best ones. I'm also going to add Viator here. But if you're looking to do something, a tour with somebody, a walking tour, a food tour, something like that in the port that you're going to, Get Your Guide is a great place to go to in order to book what that is. If you use the links that are here too, I'm going to receive an affiliate commission for recommending this. So it is something small. It's the same exact price that you're going to pay. I just get a cut of it by recommending this platform. So if you're booking excursions, make sure that you're always starting here at Get Your Guide. It's just something really small that you can do to boost the channel or say thank you. Resort Pass is also another one that I've used a few times. I was actually making a video today over at Serenity here in Nassau. So the Serenity Day Pass is the old Hilton Colonial, and it's going for $23 a day right now, which is fantastic. That is their introductory rate. Margaritaville, directly beside of it, is going for over $100 per person. Granted, two totally different experiences, but if you just want to relax, you want a chair, a towel, you want to be by a beach with a bar and some food, Serenity is a fantastic spot, and you cannot beat the price right now. So make sure that you're going into Resort Pass every time you want to book. So if you think about this, come here and book through the website if you can. No, can't see the website still. Oh, this is so frustrating today. Looks good. Prices are very reasonable too. Ernest, I tried to do really good with the prices on here. I mean, I definitely will make some markup, some profit, but I didn't want to go overkill. I think that it is something fun to do. If I make a little bit from it, that is great. But if not, that's okay too. So I just don't want to lose money on it. I think that that's the important thing, because I mentioned at the beginning, there are a lot of startup costs, which I was really surprised to launching this. So I'm going to have to sell a few things just to turn any kind of profit. But it was important to me that the prices here were reasonable, so people didn't look at it and have, fright, if you will. Paradise Beach. So John's got a question about Mexico, and I have done Mr. Sancho's ages ago, but I don't make it over to Cozumel too often, because I need to do the weekend cruises, and when I do longer cruises, they don't always go to Cozumel, or I'm going international to jump on a Mediterranean or a Baltic Sea style sailing. So I have not been to Paradise Beach, so I cannot vouch for which one is better there. Hold on, wait. Ha! I figured it out. User error. Learning new technology, you all, is a lot. Every time I turn around, I'm learning something new. I shared the screen, but I forgot to change the view here to the share screen. So, in the comments, let me know. You should be able to see it now because I was doing user error. So apologies on that. So, let me go back to the very beginning just to show you. If you did not go to theweekendcruiser.com to check this out, you're going to see the main screen. And I do love this picture, by the way. This was taken in Terminal A outside of Freedom when I was leaving the ship one day. And this is probably one of my absolute favorite cruise ship pictures that's out there. I then talk a little bit about myself. So just letting people know who I am. There's a whole contact area here. So if you want to contact me, send me a note, you can always do this. I also have email, theweekendcruiser.com, or excuse me, theweekendcruiser@gmail.com. Though a lot of people normally just send me messages through Instagram, and that totally works fine just as well. And if you want to sign up for the mailing list, I haven't really figured out what I want to use the mailing list for yet. The thing that comes to mind is group cruises, like the two that we're doing now on Virgin Voyages Scarlet Lady and the Allure of the Seas. It would probably be neat if I could send out email to you letting you know that those are going on. I'm not really big into spam personally, and just sending email with no purpose to it. So I'd want to make sure if I did anything there, I put it here just in case people wanted to join, but I'm not, I have no intention on using that next week. So if we come over to the shop store, live for the weekend. So my favorite way to do it, and I'm not going to cover all this again. We chatted through it earlier, but you can see all the different products that are here. And there's a lot of customization that you can do. If you want to filter down for women's clothing, men's clothing, you can do that over on the left. I think my favorite is just the official t-shirt. And I made that one. That's like, if you're going to buy something, that's the one, Ernest, that I've made. And I know that you're more of a mug kind of person. But that's the one that I made really affordable, because that's, if you're going to be wearing the brand, the Weekend Cruiser out there, I think that that should be affordable. So I love that one. And the hoodie's a really good quality. I was actually surprised. And if you look at the hoodie, and I'm going to see if I can get it to pull up, and I wish that it moved a wee little bit quicker on us, but it's actually, I believe I put the logo on the back of this. I haven't seen it in a little bit. Come on, let's load. There we go. So it's got a big picture of me on the back, which I just think is super cute. It was much larger to start with, and I got the feedback that I needed to shrink that down a wee little bit. So the website is super nice. I really do like the way that it's turned out. It's very sleek. It should be easy to navigate. The pictures button here, one we have not talked about, that just takes you over to what's on the Instagram account. So if you want to check out some of the latest, this is Michael Does Diz. I don't know if you all follow him on Instagram or not. We were both on Virgin Voyages together, and I love running into other content creators. I picked his brain probably more than he wanted me to, but I still feel like I am learning a lot of stuff. And then I filled out a little bit about me. Nothing over the top here. This is a picture from the Infinity sailing when I was going around Cape Horn for New Year's Eve night. I actually dressed up. I normally never wear a suit or a jacket on a cruise ship, especially not on a weekend cruise sailing. But I did for this one and had a wonderful time. New Year's Eve is definitely, and Christmas, not even as much. I was surprised that people didn't dress up more for Christmas, but for New Year's, we went all out on the cruise ship, so it was really a lot of fun. And then here's the contact information. If you do want to send me a note, this is one place that you can certainly do that. Again, if you're looking at all these tabs up at the top and you want to follow me in another spot, feel free to go over to the Instagram, TikTok accounts. You can certainly follow me in all of those. And John, I definitely finally got it. Apologies on the user error. One of these days, I'm going to learn how to do a live stream. I feel like every time I learn how to do something, I like to go in and change it and do it a little bit different, which is not the great thing. And people call me Craig, so hey Craig. The side eye is, I mean, people get on me because I am a one photo kind of wonder. So I've got the smile that I do, which is classic branded, classic Weekend Cruiser. So if you see me doing the smile, that's what you're gonna get. But I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. I'll do like a surprise look like for some of the pictures, but the side eye was me trying something new, and it got a really good response, which is one reason I decided to use it, because it shows me in a different light that I'm not always very good at using. All right, so just to confirm, I did stop sharing my screen. So you all can see that I have now stopped sharing the screen. And thank you, Craig. All right, let me see if I had anything else on my list to chat through today. So one thing that I wanted to do, and you all just saw the website, on a scale of, let's say 1 to 10, what do you think? I mean, did I hit the mark here? Do I need to go back and make some adjustments? On a scale of 1 to 10, let me know in the comments or the chat how it went. Like, is this a decent one? Is it a good first start? And if you have any comments to go with that, that would be fantastic on how I can continue improving this website. Because honestly, again, not a design person. I'm even shocked that I figured out how to do this much on YouTube. I just love talking about cruises. And so it makes the vlogging really easy, because I can get here and talk about cruises all day, about Royal Caribbean, about the other cruise lines. The creative side of it just naturally flows with conversation and questions that I get from you all often, but this design thing online is a beast for me, and it's a little intimidating. So I hope you all like the website. All right, so with that, that's all that I had today. So if you all have any questions, I mean, I'd love to get to the place where you all feel comfortable just asking me questions in a Q&A format at the end of these. Doesn't have to be about the website, doesn't have to be about merch or the affiliate links. Could be about anything, and I am glad to chat about it. One thing I know is on a lot of people's minds is the recent changes to Royal Caribbean's Crown and Anchor Society. So that's the loyalty program for Crown and Anchor. They announced some of their changes, what was it, earlier this week or last week, that they announced what these new changes were going to be. And luckily, I don't think that the changes were really that bad. Yeah, there's some things in there that strike home more than others, the crystal blocks, for instance. But a lot of the changes were really minimal. I was kind of surprised that they didn't take it further. They are certainly trying to find a way to enhance and drive revenue while cutting cost. And loyalty programs, it cuts both ways sometimes. Like if you cut the program too far, we're going to start being like, maybe I should try another cruise line to see what theirs is like, since I'm not getting that much here anymore. So it's really a balancing act, and I think they did a really decent job with it by limiting a few things, but not going overboard with it. I also have confirmed, I know the hottest ticket item was the crystal blocks. Like everybody's trying to figure out what that's going to look like. And anytime that a marketing picture is posted online, I'm always worried that that marketing picture looks better than it's going to look in real life. And so I think it's going to come down to, where do they actually put the color in this crystal block? Is it literally you're just taking and putting a piece of paper onto the back of it that you can look through? I think that's probably going to be the cheapest of the options, or look the cheapest. But if they're infusing color somehow throughout the crystal or in the middle of the crystal, that actually might be pretty cool. So I'm very curious to see how this has gone. I have already coordinated with, give you all a little sneak hint here, with the loyalty ambassador on board the Liberty of the Seas, where I'm going to be back next weekend, and she should be getting her very first shipment of the new crystal blocks on Friday of next week. So as soon as I board, I can't wait to actually see one of these. I think I'm a few points away from hitting the crystal block award, but I think she's going to let me just check it out, see it. And then I can report back to you all on how do they actually look. I'm not going to actually earn it or get it on that sailing, but I think that I can be hopefully one of the first people to say, hey, here's what it actually looks like. So I think that's going to be a game changer for it. And Thomas, this is a great question. So with the changes to the Crown and Anchor Society, one of them was the welcome aboard gift. So it used to be a welcome water, snack, and your beverage selection. So one of the big ones was they were like, you know what, you all are. I love how this one was blamed on us a little bit, the guest. You all get confused. There's too many options for you to choose from your amenities list. We don't want you to have to stress out over choosing if you want a bottle of Coke, if you want a Corona. You know what? We're gonna make this really easy on you. How about just we're gonna give you water when you come on board. That's gonna be your gift. We're gonna give you extra waters. And so very kind of them. You know, water is certainly something that I like having in the room. I get more than enough of these. But the interesting thing is they took away the word snack as well. Nobody has really confirmed if snacks are gone for good, being the 4 cookies. I did have them on this sailing. I guess I'll have to let you know when I come back on, you know, are we getting cookies still? I really hope so. Because on sail days, you all know this, I stress out a lot because I've got a lot that I need to do. I run onto the ship at the very last moment. I normally have skipped lunch because there's so much going on. And I will eat at least 3 of the 4 cookies when I get to the room. Normally the coconut one's the one that I leave for last. But sometimes I'll eat all 4 of them as soon as I get here. So I kind of like those for lunch. And I am glad that you were able to finally catch a live there, Stephen. Is IR is in, what does IR stand for, Stephen? And Allie Smith coming in from New Jersey. So interesting, Allie. I actually lived in South Orange for a year. Most people don't know that. And even when I talk about my life experience of moving from Boston down to Florida, I stayed in Florida for 8 months before I got the call that I needed to go up to New Jersey for a year. And I lived in South Orange, so very close to Manhattan, worked over in Short Hills, but supported all of the mid-Atlantic, which was pretty neat. And look at JJ Cruz coming in here. Some of my dear friends with Jared and Jordan, if you do not follow their channel, please make sure that you're going over and supporting them. They are, again, wonderful content creators as well, focused on cruising. So they are wonderful folks. And I think, guys, I've known you even before we both had channels. It's kind of an evolution of this. And they are one of the reasons why I probably have a channel, because they were so encouraging in moving me into doing this. I think it was the return to sailing on the Adventure of the Seas when all the cruise bloggers were in Nassau to board the Adventure of the Seas for the return to sailing in North America that I finally caught the bug. So thank you all for all the support. All right, any other questions or thoughts for the group? Chris, you are very kind. I think that those are 2 of the best channels out there myself as well, if I do say so. And Royal trying to make us, hey there, Brian. Royal's trying to make us healthier with all of these changes. I mean, if they take away those cookies, that is definitely going to help me on my way. So that is a neat little thing there that, you know, I'll have to actually walk up to the Windjammer and see what they have if I can pull myself away. I heard and I don't even know if I want to throw this out there, a vicious rumor today, and it is completely unsubstantiated, that there's probably some more charges coming to some things that we're used to having for free. So I'm going to hold back on my comments there because I don't like sharing things, but it would help me be healthier if they started charging for that as well. But I don't always like to front run information, especially if it winds up not being out there. I mean, you all have been around long enough to know there is plenty in the rumor mill, especially here with Royal Caribbean, on what's going to be changed. I think that all cruise lines are going to continue to have changes as we move through this post COVID world. They need to make revenue. They need to cut costs. Totally get it. And I imagine changes are going to keep going up, especially on the cruise voyages price. So I don't know if you all have seen how much it costs to book a cruise these days, especially if you're starting to look into 2024. It is
a lot of money these days. It's gone up more so than what I was accustomed to pre-COVID. Definitely post-COVID when it came back, and they were all at a discounted rate. Now they have come back with a vengeance. So I was joking with somebody. I was like, the weekend cruiser might become the monthly cruiser, given budget constraints and what I can afford to come on the ship. So that just might be a video for another day. Is I might switch over to being the monthly cruiser because I just don't know that I can afford. I'm worried. I mean, these prices, it's going for like $300 a night now for a weekend sailing in an interior cabin, which just blows my mind in off season. I don't necessarily get it. And James is asking about the Allure. So I don't know if many of you knew all of this, and I'm trying to remember. The Allure had an issue of some kind where everything died in Central Park. All the plants, all the trees got wiped out. I don't know if they had a drought, the water system died. I don't know what happened there. Somebody sprayed a pesticide. But I don't know what happened over there. I have not heard if that's been fixed yet. I don't think that. If anybody's been on the Allure recently, let us know in the comments if they've replaced all that great stuff there. I'm not sure that they have, but luckily I haven't heard much about it, so it's not bothering a lot of people. What I will say that has been fixed though, and this is for those of you that may be coming on Liberty of the Seas, the Jumbotron on Liberty of the Seas has been busted for months. Like, they even put a tarp over it because they were just like, we can't fix it, so we're just going to cover it up. I am pleased to announce that that has been fixed as of this voyage. So if you like watching those movies outside, or and they've got some interest, they've changed them up. I don't recognize the movies they're playing now. Or if you like watching those little short clips they do of like the animals or the Fell Army, they've got those playing up there now. So come and check that out on Liberty of the Seas. I was very glad to see that fixed. That was not helping the fact of this ship feeling a little bit out of date. West Coast culture. So I've got, two thoughts on this one. The first thought is I've been on Virgin now twice by myself, and I never felt out of place. If anything, I would say that Virgin Voyages is doing a really good job trying to cater to the solo market. So they've got, and I actually did this past time, a solo get-together on the first night where you can go and meet other people. They've got all these icebreakers and networking sessions led by their crew staff, so it is staffed by somebody. And it's a great way to meet other people and make those relationships if that's something you want to do. When you solo cruise, you have the option of, do I want to be extroverted and meet people? Or do I want to be introverted, eat by myself, hang out by myself, read my book, and just do my thing? Me personally, I'm a little bit of both. It just depends on the day. But on this day, I was feeling extroverted. They even took us then to their sail away party. And from there, they reserved a table at, oh, I'm blanking on the name of their vegetarian, vegan, forward restaurant. Razzle Dazzle is the name of that restaurant. They had a meetup there for us, so they had a communal table where all of the solos could then go and eat at. They only did this on the first day, which I thought was kind of a bummer because I did meet a lot of great people, but I didn't realize that it wasn't going to continue. And if I did, I would have probably made an effort to maybe get somebody's number or stay in contact better. It's still a smaller size ship compared to a lot over on Royal, so you're going to run into these people again, which is nice, but I never ate with anybody else again. Interestingly, eating, I think, is the biggest thing that scares people when they go on cruises. Virgin, the only place I have not been is the place where you got to eat with other people and you have to cook your own food. So that is the Korean barbecue. I am not one who likes to cook my own food. I don't do that at home. I'm certainly not going to do that on a cruise ship. I've heard that you don't have to necessarily cook your own food, but honestly, I've just not felt like eating and mixing and mingle with other people. That's kind of my time by the end of the day. They've got a couple of bars and places that you can still sit that doesn't make being by yourself feel awkward. And I will say that when I did, I think I was at the wake, there were probably 2 or 3 other folks there that were sitting by themselves. And so it still makes you feel like you've got a little bit of a community when you see other people doing it, that it's not that different. And it is a fantastic way to cruise. Oh, Thomas, clarifying on the Allure, it was a cold snap in Galveston that froze out everything in Central Park. I guess they didn't have a tarp and heaters that they could put over the entire thing. I mean, I can only imagine the cost that that probably has to fix it. And I wonder if insurance would actually cover an event like that, because to replace all those things, it's not going to be cheap, because they bring in fully grown trees into this space. So that's going to be very interesting. And Adam, good to know. Um, so hopefully we've got the group cruise going. I know all of you have probably heard me mention that a time or two. So I'm excited to meet all of you. The May 26th sailing on Virgin Voyages. I can't wait to go to Gumby. It's the Korean restaurant. And have all of you join me there, so I don't feel as out of place joining one of these communal tables, because that's a personal thing. I cruise a lot by myself, but that's just one place that I just haven't really felt like going by myself yet. And so I'm glad to hear that they're going to cook my food for me. Either that, I think the last time I went somewhere like this, one of my friends actually cooked the food for me, because I am absolutely clueless on how to make that happen. And Henry, I don't know if you've seen my latest video on Virgin or not, but this question has come up often. I don't think that Virgin is any more so of a swingers cruise than Royal Caribbean or Celebrity. I think that, you know, it has a reputation of being a swingers cruise because it's 18 years and up. And when people think of an 18 years and up market, you're thinking of Secrets Resort. You're thinking of Scandals? No, Sandals Beach Resort. Scandals is a bar in Fort Lauderdale. You've got all these 18 plus up. I think, what is it? Hedonism is one of them. You think of those. And those are probably more tailored towards, actually, I know that some of them are tailored towards a swingers community, and people who like to vacation a little bit more freely. And I don't think that I've seen anything like that with Virgin Voyages. They have certainly not marketed themselves that way, but because they're 18 plus, I feel like they kind of get pulled into that conversation or that mindset in the Caribbean. I personally did not see swinging happening, but that can happen on any cruise ship, especially when alcohol is involved. People start making different life decisions for themselves. So I can see, you know, any cruise this happening on. Will it happen more in Virgin? I mean, I don't necessarily think so. I think it's probably less of an occurrence than what other people make it to be. And that sounds like Carnival Conquest beside of us is getting ready to head out of here. And Adam saying that you think that it's probably $1 million to replace all the growth in Central Park, all of the trees, the shrubbery. I would not doubt that number at all. It is a beautiful place. One of my favorite floors to stay on is the Central Park floor. It is deck 8 on Oasis classes. Just being able to walk through there, cut through there, get outside, see the trees and plants, it is a really nice experience. So I like staying there. Hey, Steve. Steve was one of the original group cruisers with us that went on the January cruise and is looking at doing the next one coming up. So Virgin should absolutely match your status. I mean, if you submit the document, if you have a booked cruise and you have the ID that you can give them on the booking form, or not the booking form, on the status match form, Steve, they should absolutely match that. I don't know why they would treat a group any different, because you still have that individual reservation that is attached to the group. So they should do that. It is their Sea Rover program, which interestingly expires at the end of this month. So their benefits, the Deep Blue benefits that they have, where you get the $100 bar tab, you get $10 in specialty coffee, and a couple of other things, free premium Wi-Fi, great benefits, expires at the end of this month. And they have not yet announced what their new program is going to be. Their website touts in the first quarter, which is also ending at the end of March, that they will make an announcement on what their full loyalty program is going to be. This would be their Crown and Anchor equivalent. They're currently calling it the Sailing Club, but they have put no information out there about what this is going to be and if they're going to keep those same benefits. So I'm personally really hopeful that they keep the Deep Blue extras that they have today, because that met my needs to a T on what they had. But what I can say from a matching perspective is if you go ahead and get matched with them, what I've seen, they've got their Sea Blazers program. So if you cruise with them in 2021, they put you in their Sea Blazers program. They did not move those people necessarily into the Sea Rover, but they keep getting their benefits. So if you do go and join their Sea Rover, I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the next one, but normally they've got a history of giving us a little bit of leadway on receiving those benefits after an announcement. So hopefully that'll be coming soon. I have certainly let Virgin know that I want to talk about that when it happens, and hopefully it'll happen soon because they literally expire in, what, 3.5 weeks from now. And Henry wants to know, how is the food on Virgin Voyages? And this is one place that Virgin Voyages completely excels. I have not been on another cruise line, and I've been on a Carnival ship ages ago, Royal Caribbean, and Celebrity now. The food on Virgin Voyages is better than all of them. It is better than the specialty restaurants on all of them. The food on Virgin Voyages, for me, it's hands down is absolutely the best. They've got something for everybody. They've got, you know, a vegetarian vegan forward restaurant. They've got the Wake, which has this El Dorado salted fish in a bread basket kind of situation with brown butter on it. They've got the Test Kitchen, which is similar to probably a Wonderland experience on Royal Caribbean. They've got the Pink Agave, which is their Mexican restaurant, which is so good. I cannot say enough good things about the food on Virgin. So when you're looking at Virgin, it's considered a premium cruise line as well. So it is not necessarily competing with the Royal Caribbeans, the Celebrities. They are supposed to be in a higher tier game. Their price point also has the ability to reflect that sometimes, but you are getting more for your money when you go over Virgin. The value there is more, but you pay for it. So if you're coming on a Royal Caribbean cruise and you're having to buy, let's say, the internet, you're having to buy drinks, you're having to buy, what kind of stuff you buy drinks on Virgin, I guess. You're buying specialty restaurants. All of that's just going to be included when you go over to Virgin. And it's not me complimenting Virgin like this. Is not me saying that Royal is a bad product. I think a lot of times online, people hear me bragging about one cruise line and they take that to mean that I'm dissing or saying something poor about the other ones. And that's not what I'm saying. I love the Royal Caribbean experience. I'm on one of their ships right now. But that Virgin Voyages food is better. It is much better. And so I really, really like the food on Virgin Voyages. Did my enthusiasm for that come through, Henry? And Dewey, hey there, Dewey, another one of the weekend sea cruisers, has been on Virgin recently and also had a blast. And I will completely agree with this. Whatever ship that you are on, you make that sailing yours. Whatever it is that you want to do. Cruise ships are designed in a way that you can really choose to do what you want to. And that's one reason why I love to go as a solo cruiser, is every moment I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I remember early on in my solo cruising journey that I was doing things and I was like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And so I would literally get out and leave in the middle of things, because I was just like, this is not what I want to be doing right now. I'd rather go to bed. I'd rather hang out by the pool. Whatever it is, I would just go and do that. But I'd have to physically remind myself that I can do something different, which is pretty cool. Hey there, Cynthia. So yes, you were asking about a vegan menu on Royal Caribbean. So interestingly, I probably didn't know this one for a while, and one of my friends had to teach it to me. So if you have your phone, you're going to have the Royal Caribbean app where you can go and look at the menus for the main dining room. And what you're going to do is you're going to scroll all the way right before the wine. So you're going to go through desserts, you're going to go through the kids section, and then you're going to come to the vegetarian vegan section at the bottom of this. Now they don't have a lot of items that are down there, but what they've had, I've tried a few of them because they're actually pretty good. They had like an asparagus and hummus one. They've got some soups down there normally, but they had a beet salad at one time. It's all been really good to me. I've not minded it at all, if I'm getting my word right there. So check that out. You can also, if you have more specific dietary restrictions, you can also work with them in advance. So if you want to order the night before your food for the next day, just to make sure that they're meeting whatever the restriction is that you have, they're normally really good about that. I will say that Royal Caribbean and most cruise lines, if you have diet needs, so you're not, you're not eating everything that's on the menu, you need to, customize that. They're really good about doing that, more so probably than even if you walk into a normal restaurant. That is part of their business model. To Dewey's point, if you go on Virgin Voyages, they flip the script. So in most restaurants, Cynthia, if you're looking at buying or ordering something that is vegetarian, that's vegan, you have to customize it to be vegetarian or vegan. Virgin Voyages, on the other hand, flips the script on a lot of these things, which is probably one reason why I like it, is they start a lot of their things. If you look at any of the menus on their ship, specifically at Razzle Dazzle, it's going to start off vegan, vegetarian. You can then customize it to not be vegan and vegetarian. So it can be the exact same thing, just the way that they listed it on the menu is a more inclusive way of helping people that do have different dietary restrictions feel like they fit in a little bit better. All cruise lines can do this. It's just the way that Virgin approaches it that I think makes them be, a little bit nicer of a feel when you're doing those things. Virgin Voyages cruises. So they've got a really odd schedule. They do a lot of 4 and 5 nights right now, and 6 nights as well, especially the Scarlet Lady out of Miami. If there is the Valiant Lady is currently here. She's got some 7 and 8 night sailings that she's doing, but they're very limited. There's not a lot of them. So their schedule to me is a bit weird. My new place that I live in Miami, I overlook the cruise port. I love it. I still got to do a video to show you all what my views are, to look at the cruise port. But I mean, Virgin will be the only ship in there on Wednesday. I mean, who has an embarkation day on Wednesday? But if you want to go on a cruise on Wednesday, you can do that with Virgin Voyages. If you look over to the Mediterranean, so the Valiant Lady right now is going back and forth between the Caribbean and Europe. You can find some longer sailings in the Caribbean. They've also got their third ship, forgetting the name of the third ship. That's going to be coming online, I feel like, later this year. I've got some folks that I met that are going to be transferring over to the new ship with Virgin to work. So that'll be really neat to see what the schedule is going to be for that one. Hey there, Henry. Luggage on cruise ships. Luckily, cruise ships do not have that many restrictions like an airport does. So if you want to go on a cruise, bring as much luggage as you want to. There are no restrictions on what you can bring on board. Virgin Voyages, just like the other ones, is also going to have those porters in the white outfits. When you get to the cruise terminal, they'll even help take all that to your room. So you don't have to drag that through the terminal, through the gangway, up the elevator. They're just going to deliver it to you. It might take a little while to do this, but if you want to, you can certainly do that. I do tip those folks. I think some people do like $2 to $3 per bag to make that experience happen. But there's no restrictions on how big that can be or how many you can be. Some people I've even seen bring like the old school trunks. You don't see that too terribly often, but I've definitely seen some of those on cruise ships in the past. And Dewey, you are my Virgin expert in this channel. So the new Virgin Voyages cruise ship will be called the Brilliant Lady. So it'll be Scarlet Lady was their first, Valiant Lady is their second, and then Brilliant Lady is their third. And so these ships are actually a really good size for me. You all know that I don't love the big ships. These are more like a navigator, an explorer. It is that class of ship, and I really, really like it. Oh, is it Brilliant Lady or Resilient Lady? Now I'm seeing 2 different ones here. Huh. It'll be one of the two. Maybe Resilient's going to be their 4th one that's going to come out. And interesting, talking about new ships that are coming out, Royal Caribbean has the Icon of the Seas that is coming out. But one that we haven't heard much about is the Utopia of the Seas, one that they announced even before Icon. And we haven't heard a lot about this Oasis class ship that's going to be previewing. I think it comes out next year as well, in 2024. So I think Royal, if I'm reading this right, is going to have the Icon of the Seas and the new Utopia come out next year. So they're going to be adding a lot of capacity because these ships are huge. Icon of the Seas being the largest cruise ship in the entire world. Utopia will be probably under that, but still a really big ship, larger than all the other Oasis class ships that are out there. And this one I had heard, Adam, one of the group crew's original folks. Hey there, Adam. They are going to have a ship based in Puerto Rico. So I personally like sailing out of Puerto Rico. The port's very easy to get to. Their downtown in San Juan is beautiful. The walkability, being able to see everything, I really like it there. The problem with Puerto Rico is you got to get there. Even from where I live in Miami, it is a 4-hour flight to get to Puerto Rico. And the flights, for whatever reason, are expensive. So even if I was call it like the price karma. So there's sometimes where, I feel like the cruise line is really expensive and the flights are cheap. And then there's others like Puerto Rico where the cruise is normally cheaper, but the flight to get you down there is a bear. And so it all kind of balances out a little bit. But I find Puerto Rico to be a very expensive cruise port to go into. And I will say the only downside that I've heard to Puerto Rico, and this does not bother me at all. You know that I live in Miami. I go on the Freedom of the Seas all the time, and Freedom of the Seas on a weekend sailing is very Latino. And so when you're with a Latino crowd, the atmosphere changes a little bit. I personally think that it changes for the better. Not everybody appreciates that. If you're going to Puerto Rico and you're going to be sailing out of their backyard, you're going to have a lot of Puerto Ricans and a lot of Latinos on that cruise ship sailing with you, because where you sail out of changes the demographic of who's going to be sailing with you. If you're sailing out of Bayonne, you're going to have a lot of New Jersey, a lot of New Yorkers. People from the Northeast are going to come down for it. If you're going to Puerto Rico, you're going to have a lot of Puerto Ricans. If you're going out of Miami, you're going to have a lot of Cubans, a lot of Latinos. If you're going out of Port Canaveral, you can have a lot of families that just came from Disney World, Orlando. So just always keep that in mind when you're booking things. And I always say too, the other thing that you're going to know what the demographics are going to be for that cruise is the length of the sailing. The shorter the cruise, the more youthful or younger that sailing is going to be. The longer the sailing, the more senior that crowd is going to be, because they probably don't have to take time off work like the rest of us do, which is why I'm relegated to a weekend cruise. But they can jump on those transatlantics, make me jealous, stay gone for, a 13-day sailing like it's nothing. I wish that I could do that a few times a year. All right, so looks like Brian is confirming that the name we're all right, it looks like. So the Resilient Lady is the third. The fourth is going to be the Brilliant Lady. Henry's asking if I've been on Disney. Actually, I have. I haven't done it in quite some time, but I did go on Disney, and it was a really good experience. I am not a fan of going on ships with a ton of kids these days. But when I went on this one, I went with kids. I went with my family. My brother's got 3 kids. I think he only had 2 at the time. But it was a really good experience. The food is good. It is a Disney quality of service that you're going to find on that cruise line. And they're going to charge you for it. Make no doubt that you all know that Disney, nothing cheap about it. They're going to give you a fantastic experience, but it's not going to be cheap. They have weekend sailings, by the way. I think it's is it the Disney Fantasy is doing weekend sailings out of Port Canaveral? I could be making that one up. One of them is, but it is a crazy amount of money. It is $2,000+ to go on a weekend sailing in an interior cabin. Some people are very comfortable with those prices. They want that Disney experience. I personally just cannot afford that on a consistent basis. But I will say, to the kid point, I do like going on Virgin now because they do not have kids. When I went on the Disney sailing with all of their kids, they have so many activities for these children that they are very distracted. They're actually not really getting in my way. They're not running into me. It was actually a really good experience because they had so much for the kids to do, and quite frankly, for me to do as well, that it was a really good experience. Hey, Mr. Craig in DC, glad you made it. I don't think I ever planned on talking this long on this live, but hey, if we're here and you all are engaged, why not do it? And Dewey, you are very right. I know that you come on the Freedom of the Seas with me often. It is a high energy, normally a little bit of a louder crowd as well, but all in good fun. I really enjoy the weekend sailings out of Miami. Hey, thanks, Craig. Every little bit counts. I certainly appreciate the $2. Thank you for that. And Brian, I am confident that if you can go to the Port Bayonne out of New Jersey, that is a much greater spot to go to. Though the biggest traffic backup I've ever seen at a port was when I was trying to get to Port Bayonne the one time that I sailed out of there. So interestingly, you all know that I like short cruises, right? They actually, the Allure of the Seas, or not Allure, this was the, what is the Anthem of the Seas? I was like, is the other A one? The Anthem of the Seas out of Bayonne was doing a 4-night sailing. That never happens. And so I jumped on her on Thursday night. Luckily, it was a long weekend sailing. Comebacks first thing Monday morning. And it went over to Bermuda for, I think we were there for 6 hours. You all know that Jones Act requires any cruise ship that leaves from the U.S. to go to a foreign port. So we hauled tail over to Bermuda. We got off. We stayed there for 6 hours. I went with Bayside. Was it Bayside Tours? There was a wonderful tour lady over there that I jumped on with, and she was like rushing us to get onto the van. She's like, we have no time whatsoever. You all have to get on now. We got to go. We got so much to do, so much to cover. And it was a really great experience, even being there for 6 hours. I hope one day that I can go back and spend there longer. I know there's a lot of overnight sailings, and even where the cruise ship moves from, location in Bermuda to location in Bermuda, or port in port. So hopefully I'll get to go back, but I was really surprised that the Anthem of the Seas would do a 4-night sailing. Now that's going to be the way of the world. So you all know the Allure of the Seas, an Oasis class, is going to start doing weekend short sailings. I don't really know how that's going to go. I did a Thursday to Sunday cruise on the Oasis of the Seas. I think it was back in February of last year. And, it is a different experience doing a quick weekend cruise on an Oasis class ship versus on a smaller level, like a Freedom class or smaller. So I don't know how it's going to go. I'm really excited to be there on the group cruise for November 3rd to kick off the Allures sailing, but that should be a really, really good time, mainly because all of you are going to be there with me. So I'm really looking forward to that. Henry, any thoughts on how long is too long for a cruise? One of the biggest questions I get asked, in my personal life at least, is, hey, Brandon, do you think you could see yourself living on a cruise ship full time? And the answer to that right now is no. As much as I love sailing, I don't think that I could live on a cruise ship permanently and follow in the footsteps of Super Mario. As much as I admire and respect him, I don't think that that's the life that I currently want for me. Even if I could work remote and figure that situation out, I think that at some point I would need to tap out. The longest that I've done is 3 weeks on the Oasis, which was a really good time. It was 3 back-to-back sailings, and I really enjoyed it. I think that I could have stayed longer, but there was always something to do. We were going to some meet ports. I will say that I did on my South American trip that I did on Celebrity Infinity. That one was my first 12, I think it was 13-night sailing actually, where we did not change passengers. I did enjoy that. The problem with that one that I found myself running into at the end of it was that we canceled our last port due to weather, and so I had 5 sea days before we got back into Chile, into that area, into the port. And I was going a little stir crazy. Like, I think that if I had a lot of sea days, I would not enjoy it. But if I could get off, do things, I would enjoy it much better. I personally think 3 days is probably really too short, so I can answer that. Like, I'd love to stay longer than 3 days. I do it because that's what I can. Too long, I would say, just keep incrementing it, increasing it, and before you know it, you might find yourself at a full month there, Henry. But it's a personal preference on that. I don't think for some of us, like Super Mario, he doesn't have a length. I mean, he is very comfortable being out here for 10 years now, I think, which is crazy. But it's a very personal preference. And so Adam brought up a great point. The World Cruise is a long sailing. I don't know if you all saw the CNN article where you can get on, I forgot the name of the ship or the company that's doing it. I didn't recognize it. But they're sailing a 3-year sailing around the world kind of trip where they're going to have multiple overnights for $300,000. $100,000 to live on a cruise ship for 3 years, or per year for 3 years. Not a bad deal at all. Actually, the price I found extremely reasonable. My biggest concern with this is I'm used to changing people every 3 days. I get a new crowd to come through here. if I sign up for a 3-year voyage, I'm going to have those same guests with me the entire time. World Cruise counts for this as well. You better hope that you like those people on that cruise ship, because you're not getting another group in a long time. You're going to have the same exact people to look at, to talk with, to interact with. And so I really hope that you like them. Luckily, I know that a lot of wonderful people that are going on the World Cruise. That one I could easily find people that I like on it, because I already know that they're there. But that's just one thing that I always think through is, wow, that's a lot of the same exact people that are going to be on that ship. Hey, Cynthia. So I think, Cynthia, you may have put this in the comment section as well, and I just responded to that last night. Totally okay if you haven't seen it yet. And by the way, I do respond to every single comment. I at least give it a heart to acknowledge it, or I type something out. So that is something that I take really personal. I love responding to all the comments. So where can you get juices and smoothies on Freedom of the Seas? You can't. That is the short answer to it, Cynthia. So they do have on board Freedom of the Seas. They'll give you fresh squeezed orange juice in the main dining room, in the Windjammer, but you're not going to find a smoothie section. You're going to need to step up to a larger ship. So like an Oasis class is going to have a Vitality Spa, or not Vitality Spa, a Vitality, I guess it's part of the spa, but they've got the juice bar and all that kind of stuff that you've probably seen. You're not going to find that here on Freedom of the Seas or Liberty of the Seas. They're going to have a cafe that's going to serve coffees, but they are not going to have the smoothies that you're looking for. And I think, Brian and Dewey are both commenting on, an Oasis class ship goes by way too quick. And the expectation that people are going to have when they come on Oasis class ship for the weekend sailing, like we're going to do on November 3rd, you're not going to do it all. You have to come with the mindset of, I'm not going to see it all. I'm not going to do it all. I'm going to have to come back. And I think that that might be part of the marketing that Royal's thinking of, is you're going to feel like you need more time out there. But if you have that mindset going into this, that you want to do it all, you're going to be exhausted by the time you get back onto land. So I don't recommend doing that at all. You're not even going to be able to eat at all the specialty restaurants, because they've got so many of them on these Oasis class sailings. It's going to be really interesting to see how people respond to it. The reason why, I remember when weekend sailings used to be Enchantment, Empress of the Seas, Majesty, and every time they've changed our ship, we get a bigger and bigger ship. So we went from Enchantment to the Mariner to Navigator. Now we have the Freedom down in Miami doing weekend sailings. Port Canaveral is now getting the Allure, which is just crazy. But they want people that are going on their very first cruise. They've learned that weekend cruises are a gateway cruise. People are coming on them to say, hey, do I like this cruise thing? Is this something that I'm going to gravitate towards? And so they finally wised up and said, we probably want to put some of our nicest, newest ships running the weekend sailings, because that's where people are going to come to first before they sign up for a longer sailing just to test the water. Which, by the way, there's many reasons why I don't think a weekend cruise is a good qualifier of if you're going to like a 7-night cruise. They are very different sailings, but that's a video for a different day. So we're going to see how it works out with them giving us, a really big ship. And Freedom, I've heard, is supposed to be leaving in the end of 2024 and going somewhere else, and we're going to need a new ship in Miami to do the weekend sailings. Chances are probably pretty good, and that's going to be an Oasis class. At the rate that we've gone, at the trend, what we're seeing, I would not be surprised at all if we got an Oasis class ship to replace Freedom at the end of 2024. Craig, I'm hoping that you know this information because you booked this cruise. I would love to hear more about how it's going to go. I thought that the way that they're approaching this is really, really nice. For those of you that have not looked at living on a cruise ship, you've got Residence at Sea, you've got Blue Voyages, you've got the World Cruise. You can actually purchase a stateroom on these cruises. They are very expensive. So just to get on there, you're going to pay a good amount to buy it. And interestingly, they don't sell it to you indefinitely. I think one of them, it's like a 60-year lease that you're basically signing at that point. And I imagine this because within 60 years, the ship's probably going to be scrapped anyway. But then you've got HOA fees on top of that. And can you imagine the HOA fees to support a cruise ship? On Blue Voyages, the one that I follow the closest, because I'm on, or is it, yeah, Blue Voyages or is it Storyline? It's one of the two. Their monthly HOA fee after you've bought the place is $8,000 for their smallest room. $8,000 a month. I would love to be able to afford that. But anyway, I digress. Weekend cruises right now with a much lower budget item, it makes a lot more sense to me. I don't need that level of exclusivity, if you will. And thank you, Cynthia. My pleasure. Hopefully, I'll see you on that weekend cruise. I am going to be switching back over to Freedom in a few months. So maybe I'll see you there. If you run into me, say hello. So everybody, I mean, I really do mean it when I say I love meeting people on the cruise ships. And it's interesting. One person was even like, "Oh, you really are here." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I tell you I'm here every weekend." So it should be no surprise when you see me walking around Coco Cay or, hanging out on the cruise ship. I do love meeting people. The only caveat to that is I, sit and drink my coffee first thing in the morning. And if I am pre-caffeine, you're probably not getting the best me. I still love to meet people, but I am going to be looking probably a little sleepy and a little tired until that iced Americano with an extra shot starts to kick in. And Thomas, great call out. If you are still hanging with me at this point, we always appreciate, us content creators, always appreciate leaving a comment, chatting in the chat, and hitting that thumbs up button so more people can come and hang out with us and see value in this conversation. And Henry asking, so on my home ship, do people know me by name? Yes. Yes, they do. And interestingly, this is my third voyage now on Liberty this season. I did one in December, one in January. You all know that I had to take some time off for my family. I'm going to be on this sailing for the next 5 weekends. I think I'm booked here. So they will absolutely know who I am, especially like the people at the coffee shop, guest services. People start to see me a few times and they go, "Wait, weren't you here last weekend?" And it takes a couple of weekends for that to click in, but it absolutely does happen. And interestingly, one of the cafe guys here, and I get to know them really well, I see them 2 to 3 times a day, transferred over from Freedom. And so he came and he was like, Brandon. He's like, they brought me over from Freedom. So it's really neat getting to see all the crew members. And if they've been on my home ship and I've gotten to know them and they transfer somewhere else, we definitely still recognize each other, even on different sailings, different ships. So even when I go over to the Mediterranean, the Baltic, wherever I'm going, I still recognize crew members, especially on Royal Caribbean, on all of these sailings. So it really helps. Is one of the advantages of sticking with a cruise line, being loyal to a cruise line, because wherever I go, I'm going to run into people that I know, which as a solo cruiser is really comforting. It gives you that sense of home a little bit that I never worry about really being by myself. And that's true with the guest. I see a lot of the same guest as well. But I really appreciate that on the crew because we each know each other, especially on the weekend sailing. If they see me every single weekend, they get to build a little bit of a relationship with me. Whereas everybody else, they're getting a whole new batch of 2,600 people every 3 to 4 days. Can you imagine meeting that many people every 3 to 4 days? It is very tough, and they do a wonderful job of this, of not treating the guests like a transaction, because they still try to get to know you. They still do the game, but they know that you're leaving in 2 days. For me, by me coming more often, I get to know them on a whole different level, and my relationship with them is different because it's kind of transversed being that transaction relationship of I'm only here for 3 days to they know they're going to see me again, which makes me feel good. And I want to think that, it makes them feel good too by building those relationships, which is different than a traditional cruiser. And Dewey, you will see me March 31st on the Liberty of the Seas. I'm so excited to get back to Freedom. I got to get through these Liberty ones, but I will absolutely be going back. And Craig, you are absolutely right. The crew does a wonderful job of learning people's names. It's a bit crazy to me, actually. Like, I will go on a cruise ship and they will come to me and call me by name. They've remembered me. And I have no idea who they are sometimes. Absolutely not. And I'm like, you have legit met probably 60,000 people since I saw you. And they remembered me. I mean, talk about a humbling moment. I am always amazed at their ability to do that. And it is definitely humbling because I don't always remember them. Like, I wish that I could. But I just think of the scale of people that they've met compared to what I did, and I feel horrible because I don't do it. And so luckily, they're always very kind, but it's a really interesting one. All right, last call for questions. We're at the hour and 15-minute mark now. My voice is starting to go. I can hear it. But if you have any final thoughts, questions, give me that thumbs up. Write it in the chat section here. We'll see if we can get that answered for you. Otherwise, I might take a break. It's 5:22, so the Diamond Lounge is now open. And I've been a slacker, not spending a lot of time up there. Though I still need to do a room tour as well. I haven't done that yet. So got a few things I need to do before I can relax and unwind. All right, so with that, I will call it a day. Thank you all for tuning in here in Nassau. It was a gorgeous day here. I am so glad to get online to talk with you all. Check out the weekendcruiser.com. That is the website that we previewed at the beginning of this. Check out the merchandise, the affiliate links. If you have any questions or tips on it, absolutely let me know down in the comments. I am more than glad to go through and customize it and make it look even better. So thanks everybody for joining, and this is Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser. Hoping to see you on a weekend cruise soon.